Hi, I'm Marcia Ryan and I work at Chaddock. And today we are talking about staying in control while staying at home, parenting strategies during this difficult time. And today, who's with me is Brooke.
Hi, and I'm Brook Linenfelser. I work with Marcia at Chaddock. So with COVID-19 and our stay-at-home orders, we are experiencing a lot of different things in our home right now with all the family members in your household. So you might be experiencing power struggles with your kids, some defiance, and some conflict. And that conflict can be between you and your child or the siblings getting into arguments together. And also being reactive to our children's behaviors, but just because of our own emotional exhaustion and confusion on what's going on right now. So where to start with all those behaviors that we're seeing in our house? First thing is understanding the difference between responding and reacting, and using the ideal response, how to correct while staying connected. So what we know is there's 4 different parenting styles. So the first one is the authoritative parent, where that's the parent that has, high control in their house and there's a lot of warmth. So that's that parent that's nurturing, affectionate. The children know the clear boundaries that are set in the house. And when there is discipline, it's through guidance and there's that open communication between the parent and the child. A authoritarian parent has a lot of high control, but the warmth in the home is pretty low. So that's that parent that's strict, inflexible, has high expectations for their kids. And that's the parent where you say, we all have said it probably at some point, do as I say right now. And the child says, why? It's because I said so and I'm the parent. So that's when the authoritarian parent comes out. And punishments are more around discipline. And there's not a lot of connection going on with the parent and child in that type of parenting style. The third parenting style is permissive parent. That's somebody that has a lot of nurturing going on in their house, but there's not a lot of control. So there's few or inconsistent boundaries in the home. So the child doesn't really know, what the rules are or what is mom and dad's, final straw. And the parent-child relationship is more of a peer relationship. And then the fourth parenting style is the uninvolved parent. And so that's where we're not seeing any warmth or really any control into that house. That parent is emotionally detached. They're more kind of involved in their own life rather than their children. So you see the parents having their life, the kids having their life, and there's not a lot of interaction. So there's inconsistent or no boundaries at all. And then, like I said, there's little to no interaction between the parent and the child.
So when we're talking about the parent styles, it's as Brooke is describing it. If you think about in the other webinars that we've done, we talked a lot about structure, nurture, balance. So the authoritative would be the real good balance of structure, nurture, where the authoritarian is that all structure, very little, if any, nurture. And the permissive would be more of the all nurture, no structure. And so we bring this up as particularly in correcting, because as you're evaluating what you are and striving to have a good balance, when you get into frustration or irritability, even if you have a good balance, you tend to go back to whatever your default parenting style is. So if you're high structure and you're frustrated, you're going to go straight back to that's the rule and that's where I am. If you're high nurture, you're going to go back to fine, whatever, just let me know where you're going. So, just keep that in mind as we're going into correcting.
So when we talk about reacting versus responding, when we find ourselves reacting to our kids' behavior, it's very immediate and it has an emotional response to it. Sometimes it can have that aggressive undertones to it. And our emotions just hijack the outcome that we're after. So for example, if we have our child kind of rolling around on the kitchen floor, and our whole goal is for the family to have dinner together. If we emotionally react to that child, it's like, get up and sit in your seat. Because, you know, we're tired. We are emotionally exhausted just from everything that's going on. The outcome of that is probably the child going to cry even more, roll around on the floor even longer. And it just kind of, when we're reacting, it fuels that disagreement, or it fuels the negative behavior that we're seeing. And it has really that short-term view. Whereas if we're responding to the behavior, we're evaluating the situation, we're able to take a step back and say, you know, my son's rolling around on the floor. He doesn't like what I'm offering for dinner tonight. So how can I get him to sit up at the table? And how can we compromise? So your response is going to be calm, and you're considering that objective. I want the family to have a nice meal together. And it helps you when you're calm to be able to resolve the situation and have that long-term goal of the family having a nice family dinner together, nice conversation, and everybody's in good space. So when we're responding versus reacting, as we strive to have that connection with our children, it's important to be aware, you know, which response are we giving? Are we reacting emotionally, or are we responding in a calm manner? So some examples of comments that you might find yourself saying is, if you're responding, you're going to say, you look upset and in need of a hug. Rather, if you're reacting, it's stop crying now. Or if you don't stop fighting, we aren't going fishing. And somebody that would be responding in a responding manner and not the reaction, it would be, I'm going to sit here until we can get along, and then we'll leave.
So as we're talking about correction, the goal of correction is to maintain the connection you have with your child, to not hurt the relationship. Contentedness. We want everybody to be content with the outcome. It may not be exactly the parent's way, it may be not exactly the kid's way, but everybody is content with the outcome. And that produces long-term changed behavior. That's that long-term view that Brook mentioned. And we do that, the more often we do that, the more they feel safe and they feel connected when you're correcting them. So some of these strategies when you're correcting, start with some sideswipe no's. You know, we have to tell the kids no, it's going to happen. So we have to be creative as parents to tell them no so that they can hear it without getting angry, feeling like you don't like them, they're bad, sending them into shame. You know, I'm so stupid for even asking. So that would look something like, hey, Mom, can we go outside? You respond with, I would love to take you outside, but first you have to do your homework and I have a meeting to do. So you're saying no without saying no. And they know what to expect. It kind of gives it a softer blow. It takes some practice, but the more you practice it, the more you can say no without using the N-O letters. Giving them a redo. The more you can have them redo some misbehaviors or their sassiness, the more they're going to do it better next time. And what you're doing is you're replacing a negative behavior with a positive. So, for example, a kid says, I don't like you. I don't like that for dinner. And you can say, oh, wow, well, how about saying that again? Or how about doing a redo? Could you try that again? Something that has, Mom, I don't like that for dinner. Oh, okay. So you don't like what we're having for dinner. Would you like to compromise and have something, you know, instead of you don't like the whole dinner or you don't like the vegetable? So you're trying to now open a dialogue. So you've had them redo their sassiness. Now you're going into compromise. You know, the more you compromise with kids, it teaches them how to compromise and negotiate as they get older. And it keeps you as the adult out of power struggles. So going back to, you know, Brook's dinner situation, you know, they've now redone their sassiness if they didn't like it. They decided they just don't like all the dinner. Well, okay, so you can either eat what's provided or you can have a peanut butter jelly sandwich. That's your choices. And then try to negotiate from there. The more you work with the child to provide redos and compromises, the more you're staying connected and the more you're going to maintain that relationship. So TBRI, which stands for Trust-Based Relational Interventions, uses the ideal response when correcting, which we use a lot here at Chaddock. We use it, at home with our own kids. These are kids, although it says, as you're listening, we'll have a short video, it says it's kids that experience trauma. These strategies that we're talking about across the board work with all kids, not just kids that experience trauma. So as I said, it's the goal of the ideal response is to stay connected, to correct the behavior, and for a long-term behavior change. So we'll watch a short video and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
When a child from a hard place doesn't feel safe, the result is often behaviors that appear willful, baffling, and infuriating to caregivers. How we respond in these moments is critical, and TBRI has developed a guideline to help. The ideal response looks at the levels of behavior with the goal of moving the child to a calmer state. Immediate means dealing with misbehavior within 3 seconds. Meltdowns are a runaway train. A gentle word and often just the question, "I see you're upset, what do you need?" is enough to put on the brakes. Hunger, dehydration, and a need for sleep are often triggers. Direct isn't glancing up from your phone and yelling across the room. It's responding with direct eye contact, proximity, and reassuring touch when possible. Efficient stresses levels of a response using a kind voice and the fewest words. Caregivers should ask, what is this behavior saying? What does this child need? And how can I teach them to get these needs met? Action-based can offer a child a do-over. Instead of punishment, a calming, smiling voice saying, "Let's try that again," followed by praise can create an instructional path and a positive body memory. Leveled behavior addresses the behavior, not the child, allowing the caregiver to be an advocate, not an adversary. When you're reactive instead of proactive, you put your energy in the wrong place and miss the opportunity for a teaching moment. Playful engagement works best when the behavior is at a low level. A redo can diffuse the situation quickly. A cheerful, "Can you try that again with respect?" can turn the tide when followed by praise. Structured engagement is needed when the situation has escalated and playful engagement has failed. If a meltdown ensues by offering the child a choice, they learn they have a voice. "Can I have a compromise?" said in a firm, calm voice, followed by, "Good compromise," can introduce recognizable scripts a child can understand. When aggressive behavior looms, nothing is gained by responding in anger or isolation. Calming engagement says, "Here, come sit beside me. You seem to be having a hard time. You let me know when you're ready to talk." Remaining calm and keeping the child close changes the dynamic. When there's a potential for violence, protective engagement means first removing the child or others from the situation and letting them know that they're safe and not defined by their behavior. Helping the child to breathe and asking what they need can help restore calm. The foundation of TBRI is that behaviors are driven by fear and unmet needs, and when we avoid angry, punitive behavior ourselves, we open the door to better outcomes for our children.
So if we recall in the connecting, we want to stay engaged. We want to, if we're correcting as connecting, if we can, we want to touch them. We want to get down on their level, give them eye contact if they're willing to look at them. We're going to match their intensity. We're not going to match their feelings and get ourselves in this power struggle, but they're going to come out and say, "I hate that." And you're going to say, "I know you do, but this is what we're going to do." And so you're going to bring them down. You're going to listen to what they're saying totally, not only their words, but overall, what is their behavior saying? You're going to just be there and reflect on their feelings. Awareness of the situation of the child and of yourself. If they're just coming home from school, is it that they might have had, you're thinking about, did they have some bad interaction at school? When was the last time they ate? Am I regulated? Did I just come up with a bad meeting? So you're going to be aware of all three of those before you go into some heavy duty correcting. So the ideal response, I stands for immediate. You're going to address that behavior right away, as quickly as you can do it, and as efficiently, really quick. So it might be a simple knock it off, and they stop. That's good enough. Don't even worry about it. But saying things like, wait till your dad gets home, or you know what, I just I don't know what I'm going to do with you, but you guys are in trouble, and or you just ignore it and wait for it to blow over, and then go back later on and get mad at them for it. So you just want to address it right away, because after a short while, the kids have forgotten about it. D is directly talking to the child, making eye contact, pulling them in closer. Don't yell from afar, or scream at them from your couch, criticize them or yell at them or correct them in public. Pull them in. If you're out in public, you want to whisper, hey, not okay, you need to stop. So that they know it's directed at them, directed at their behavior, and they know what they need to do to stop. E is for efficient. Use the least amount of words necessary to make the point. Okay, that stops that behavior. If you use too many words, the kids hear, and I told you time and time, and wah. They don't hear anything. So we're going to say, stop, you need to take a seat. It's not okay to fight with your brother. And that's all they need to hear. Get the point across, least amount of words. Action-based, lead them to a better behavior. Give them redos, help them try it again with the behavior. Do not, say, stop that, and not give them something. You need to play nice, or you need to share, or instead of stop hitting, you can say you need to use gentle brushes or high fives. We're not going to hit hard, so that they know what they can do differently. L is leveled at the response of the behavior, not at the child. Sometimes, we might say things like, that's bad. Well, okay, children can internalize things like that and make it seem like they're the bad one, or they're bad. And I know that's not our intent as parents. So we're going to say something like, that is not okay. We are not doing that. So you're setting that firm limit, you're setting a guide, but you're identifying the behavior. You are not going to yell at me. You are not going to hit your sister. Hitting your sister is not okay. You have to play together and play gentle and nice. So you're talking about the behavior so that the child doesn't internalize that they're bad.
Yeah, because oftentimes, Marcia, when we see kids internalize comments such as that, like I'm bad, then that impacts their self-esteem, which carries them through their whole life. So it is very important to respond to the behavior and not directly at the child themselves.
It's true. When we correct, the whole goal is to get these children back on the train. We talk about how we want to keep moving forward in life, and we want to keep the kids on their train track. And when they're doing something, misbehaviors, it kind of stops the train. And how we correct them will determine whether we continue to move the train forward or knock them completely off the track. So we want to keep the child on the train, on the track, and moving forward. So once we've corrected it using the ideal response, once we've got the response that we need, that's all we need. When it's over, it's over. Move on. You know, long-term consequences don't work for anybody. Sometimes if you tell, you know, ground the kid for a week and you're not going anywhere, and now, you know, we as parents want to go to the park, they can say, well, I can't go anywhere. So they can use it against us. Or if you ground them from screen time, but now you've got a meeting that you have to do. Now you're like, well, okay, go play on your screen. And so it makes you look inconsistent. So be careful on how you consequence. When you are correcting a child, it's really important that you do it in a calm manner and give them an opportunity to be heard. Give them an opportunity to, you know, here's what you did. Feel safe in taking accountability for their actions instead of putting them on the defense. If you give them opportunities and talk with them, they can own their behavior. And that's what we want them to do. We want them to be able, as they get older, to say, you know, be able to feel safe enough to say, wow, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that.
So some bonus strategies that we want you to take away today is repairing. So when there is a break in the relationship, we want you to go back and repair. So if you find yourself having a reacting response to your child and it was very emotional, going back and apologize and saying, you know, I'm really sorry I reacted that way. That wasn't my intention. And reconnect with them. So if you can add some nurture in that repair, like whether that's your arm around them, a hug afterwards, just something then that turns into a reconnection with your child. And that reconnection is really important for that connected with your child, because what we know is connected children learn their strategies through connected caregivers. So if we can be connected caregivers, then we're going to be raising connected children. And always move back to something playful. So after that reconnection, if there's something playful that you guys can do together, whether that's going for a bike ride, playing a board game, reading a book, just something that the two of you can do together after that reconnection. And always the one thing we want you to take away from our webinars is the most important thing you can do is take care of yourself. Because if we're not at our best, we're not going to be the best parents that we want to be. So take care of yourself. Take 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunchtime, 5 minutes at dinner, however you can make it work in your schedule, but make it a priority to take care of yourself.
That's a good point, Brooke, because if we're in a high level of stress, if we're frustrated ourselves, we're not going to do good correcting. We're going to say things that we don't mean later that we have to then do big repairs on. So it is okay to say, you know what, I seen what you did. I'm going to deal with it, but right now it's probably not a good day or a good time. I will come back with you, and know yourself well enough to know when you have to just kind of wait on your correcting.
So if you would like more information and what Marcia and I had shared today in the webinar, you can go to our website and look up. We have a book out. It's called Raising the Challenging Child. You also can locate this book on Amazon. And you got this. We are here though for you for support. We're available for a live chat on Thursday. It's 5:30 to 6:30. If that time doesn't work for you, it will also be recorded and it will be up on our website for your viewing. And Marcia and I have also provided our contact information here in case you want to reach out by email. We appreciate you taking the time out to review our webinar.